60 million. That's the number of children who have been killed by abortion since Roe v. Wade. 60 million babies. 60 million human beings were killed before they even got the chance to see the light of day, before they could even make their own choices. They were thrown away like garbage. 60 million babies. What hope is there for a country that slaughters its own future? What hope is there for a nation that kills its own children? What hope is there for a state that kills its own citizens? There is no hope. There is no hope as long as we continue to sacrifice our children upon the altar of tolerance and pleasure. There is no hope until we cease to exterminate the most valuable thing on this planet, life. What will the future generations say when they look back at this moment in history and they see millions of dead children, the blood of babies upon our hands, as we choose to pursue pleasure rather than our duty, than responsibility? For a people, for a generation which claims to be the most progressive generation in human history, the most virtuous generation, the most free-thinking and tolerant generation, we are no better than the brutes and the savages who sacrificed human beings and tore out their hearts. We are no better than the caveman. We're no better than Genghis Khan or Hitler or Stalin. We are doing the exact same thing. In fact, we are doing much worse. Much worse. Even Adolf Hitler, as evil and as bent as he was, recognized that suicide of a country is something that should be avoided. He did not advocate for the suicide of the German people, and yet for some strange reason, Americans advocate for the suicide of America. Joseph Stalin tried as he might have to bring down the United States as well as his communist predecessors, or I'm sorry, his successors. Try as they might, they were never successful. But we've managed to do what they only dreamed of doing, weakening our country, destroying ourselves from within. What hope is there for a country without families, with a country with a decreasing population? There is no hope. There is no hope at all until we fix this. Until we recognize that every member of the human species has human rights. What a radical thing to say in 2018. What a radical thing to say. And yet it must be said. It must be legislated. It must be protested for. It must be advocated on every single square. Until we recognize that life has value, our future is meaningless. See, abortion affects everybody. Every single citizen of this country is negatively affected by abortion. By every single abortion. Every one. Every dead child has a negative effect. Why? Well, let's just look at the 60 million dead children. Imagine, if you will, if those 60 million children grew up and joined the workforce. Imagine if they grew up and contributed to Social Security or to the social services here in this country. Imagine, just imagine how much better this country would have been. You see, Social Security, for example, was created with the mindset that the American population will constantly grow. They really didn't think it through, apparently, because, well, the American population is decreasing. It's decreasing partly with the fact that, yes, Americans aren't having children, but it also has to do with the fact that the baby boomer generation is the biggest generation in all of American history, all of human history. And with their quick death, or their imminent death, there will be no generation big enough to hold the weight, the empty shell of an economy that will be left behind, because there won't be enough consumers. And we would assume that it wouldn't be as hard to maintain the growth of the economy, the size of the economy, if we didn't kill 60 million people. If we didn't kill 60 million babies. It affects everybody. Abortion. See, abortion not only affects this country economically, it affects the very soul of the nation. Because what happens when we can kill the most defenseless members of our society? What is the logical conclusion to the pro-choice, the pro-abortion mentality? The logical conclusion is this: human life has no value. And because human life has no value, human life is disposable. And the moment that a human life becomes a weight upon the lives of others, even an individual, that individual has the right to remove that human life. No matter if it's a child, no matter if it's an autistic boy, no matter if it's an autistic girl, no matter if it's an elderly person, if it's a cripple, doesn't matter. As long as that person gets in the way of your comfort, you have the right, the moral obligation to kill him or her. That's exactly what we're seeing now in this country, with the popularity of death with dignity, euthanasia. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse until we begin to celebrate human life and respect it. But in order for us to respect human life, we have to respect where it comes from and where it begins. In the womb. Ladies and gentlemen, abortion is one of the greatest threats to the future of this country, of the future of families, future of communities. Abortion is self-destruction. And if you want to avoid self-destruction, then you need to take a stand and start educating other people about the true effects of abortion. Because abortion will only end in blood. Our blood.